Right, ladies and gents, what I'm going to go through today is some sort of a state and a mental model that I kind of hold as I've been in sales and how my ability to like maintain my emotions and the kind of states that I'm in when I'm take sales call, pre-sales call, in sales call, and post-sales call. Because I think a lot of people struggle with their own mental state, which is probably their biggest and their own roadblock in between the success that they want. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to share this with my coaching clients here today. We're going to run you through this, and I think this is going to be really powerful because it's going to be a quick reminder, more than likely a quick reminder, but also an awareness to like how you should feel and what you should feel going into your sales calls or whilst you're in the sales call itself, and specific reminders of like main intentions of how we should be approaching a sales call, especially for like prospects. Most of this is bearing like the prospect's state in mind and what we've got to be aware of to make sure that we don't stand in our own way. So this is going to be really powerful. It's going to elaborate on some of my emotions, how I keep them on track, and what matters most in your ability to sell, who you are and what you believe. So I'm going to introduce you to this. I'm going to let loads of the gentlemen. What's happening, gents?
Popping big dog. How we getting on?
I'm good, bro. How are you?
Good, good, good.
New month, new money, new fucking objections. Let's fucking come. Let's fucking get it, boys. New cash to be made. Fucking love it. Well done, by the way. Shout out to Arjan. Good fucking lad.
I have a question.
Go on.
So before there's a guy that's going to one call close on AI acquisition. He tried to pay for 3K, but then obviously he was starting his shift, and I'm positive he's going to pay. There's no issue with that. However, he said I'm not sure which option to go for, and in that frame, I didn't know how to transition between to push him towards the 25K, if that makes sense. He's making 30 grand a year, 30 grand a month right now in finance. He's got an 8-year-old kid. The call's on Adam's recording, so I've not got the recording. However, yeah, he was between the 10.8K and the 25, and we just settled on the 10.8, but he definitely could have done 25.
Was it in his best? This is really good, actually. It's a good opening question because of the training that I was actually going to cover today. Was it in his best interest to buy the Launchpad?
Yeah, actually, it was. Yeah, I did him a disservice just because he's working 50 hours a week, and he's been a consultant before, but like he's going to benefit 10 times more in regards to time input. So.
So, like him choosing, you did him a disservice because he's working 50 hours a week, which means what?
That he's going to have to put a little bit more time into this.
And then that takes time away from what?
His family, yeah.
What's the reason he's here?
So yeah, financial security is his overarching thing, so he has more time with his family, yeah.
So, like, even with that questionnaire there, helped you come to the realization of which method he should choose. And it's the same approach that you want to take into your conversations. It's all question based, right? But it's also within your ability to lead that he's going to trust you that he's making the right decision.
Because I'm the expert, right? Yeah.
Exactly. So it's like in your conviction and your ability to lead to be able to guide him to the best decision, even if it's through question based or even if it's just like what I'm personally going to suggest. Most of the people that want to get to where they want to go quicker, because the whole point of them being here so they can actually spend more time with the family, I'm going to suggest the Launchpad. Now, for
Yeah.
most people, they like to spend more time doing this when they can just get to where they want to go quicker. I'm personally not a fan, but I think in your best interest, because you're based on X, X, and X, I genuinely would recommend you go for this.
I think what it might have been was the there wasn't much value difference between 10.8K and 25 in terms of potentially how I pitched it, really.
But then it's like, do you know how are you labeling the differences?
Time input, realistically. So, for example, in regards to the accelerator, they're getting obviously 8 hours a day of one-to-one, 5 days a week, whereas on the Launchpad it's 16 hours a day. So,
Yeah, but again, see how you're focused on features.
yeah, yeah.
Your point is to go to the features. Like, do you have the money? Do you actually have the money available? Yeah. What don't you have? Time with our family. What are you always going to make more of? Money. What are you never going to get back? Time. So, like the time that you don't get with your kids, would you like to get that back by investing more money so you can have your time back? Yes. Then the Launchpad is the most logical solution at this point. Because if you want to get there faster and you genuinely get to 100 grand a month, do you think you can get there going through the middle tier? Do you think you can get there faster with the higher tier? And whatever, but like just through question based, like you allow him to then move into like his own decision, right? But those are like little reframes that help him come to his own conclusion. Or they're not
Yeah.
even reframes, they're just questions that allow him to come to his own conclusion.
Okay, that
Because
makes sense. So I've got a call straight after this call to collect the rest of the actual cash because obviously he had to shoot off to work, and obviously I know he's going to show up because he books the call. He asked me. However, on this next call, I shouldn't push now for the 25 considering we've already set on the 10-8.
has anything been paid yet?
No, he tried to pay 3,000 on one card and then was going to pay the rest on another. It declined. He spoke to his bank and then he had to rush into work.
Okay, so nothing's been paid yet.
No.
What I would do is I would collect the payment because he's going to be much more enticed to upgrade once he's already overcome like the hesitation with the investment. So if he's
Yeah.
already made an investment, then make the recommendation.
Okay.
Yeah,
Makes
because
sense.
then the deal's already done. So there's no like worming out, going back and forth with questions and stuff like this. You know you've got one deal done, that's secure. Then you can push for the second one. You can kind of challenge him on like who, well, what does he want at this point? You with me? So get the
Yeah.
deal done first. Just get the cash in. Okay.
Yeah, it makes sense. It's very, very, very logical. Once you explain it, yeah.
This is important though, Joe, because it's like what you deem to be too obvious to your prospects. Like you think if I ask them if it's too obvious, but they're also not having that conversation with themselves as well. Like, what are you not getting more of? Time. What are you here to make more of? Money, right? So if you're not getting the time you want with your kids, then what is the logical solution to get to where you want to go faster? Or do you know what I mean? Like just
Mhm.
three questions. They're not having the conversation that the shit. Are you actually right? I'm not getting more time back, but I'm always going to be able to have the ability to be able to make more money. I'm going to increase my skill set to be able to make more money. Unfortunately, there's no skill set in this world where I can get my time back with my kids, especially since they're getting older.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I do actually think the call went really, really well though. Like that question that you absolutely love in regards to why hasn't it happened yet? Like that landed really, really well.
One thing that's really important as well, even if they don't, if you leave them with a good conversation, trust me, I've had conversations where it's like I've sort of questioned the prospect so deeply that they've never had a conversation before. At the end of the call, they're like, I literally don't know what to do with this conversation. I actually need to go away and actually question myself whether I'm actually what I actually want out of life because this just made me rethink. And then a couple of days later, they come back and buy. But
Yeah.
don't always think you've lost a deal. Just if you, the main focus should be to have a good conversation, a good sales call.
Oh, I know this guy's going to pay. I'm 100% confident on that one.
That's what I mean, but that's because you had a good conversation, right? So you know for a fact because you had a good convo, he's going to come back. That's how you should leave your sales calls, knowing that you've had a good conversation. Yeah, sweet. What I wanted to go through here quickly, go on, Ajam, before I go through this.
Yo, I'm really glad you're bringing this document up because the calls that I've done really well on is when I'm most aligned, and when I'm struggling, it's because sometimes like those kind of beliefs and being the person I need to be and the leader and really coming from like my own set of beliefs, that's where I feel like I'm lacking sometimes when my calls are going bad. So this is actually the perfect lesson for you to bring up. I appreciate that.
It's like the first of the month, and it's like coming into December, and it's either like people are in two different mentalities during December. They're either in like a low state of like panic, or they're in a state of like abundance, like looking forward to the holidays and stuff. Whichever one it is, I want you to be like in the best state you can be to be able to perform and actually go away and enjoy your holidays. That's like the purpose of it, right? So
Mhm.
that's the beauty of sales. You have the ability to make the money you want to make. You have the ability to dictate how you want to live, and I think it's really powerful to remember that and how much of a luxury it is to be able to take sales calls from like your home, your warm home, and be able to make money from it. I think it's so easy to forget. Like Arjan, for example, earlier said he was disappointed he didn't make 10 grand a month, but he made 9.6K incomes. What that's no. That's a congratulations. That's like a massive win, right? Because you've been in sales for a decent period of time, and I know it's something you want to accomplish. Don't downplay the situation like that. Be proud of like what you've accomplished and how far you've actually come. So important because if you operate from that state, then you become more abundant in what you're able to actually accomplish and how much further you can take it, right? So like your state is the same reflection of what your prospects
Mhm.
want. You want. I made an Instagram post about this yesterday, right? It's so easy to have a bad day and then let that dictate who you are or let that dictate the rest of your day or the rest of your week. It's irrelevant, right? It's what you learn from that experience. Um, and sometimes it's good to take a step away from sales because if you don't remind yourself that there is a life worth living and you've accomplished all these things, then you can't reinstill that into your prospects. And I think something that I always did. Like it was easy for me to stay locked in and then just forget why I was doing it. And then the moments that I took away a step away from sales and enjoyed my life, then I reminded myself that that's what I'm trying to instill in prospect, that there is actually something better for them out there than they're experiencing now. Because they've got all these problems, they've got all these pains, but it's like, how do we instill that into them to remind ourselves that this is why we're here, because they're here to make the same change. One thing that I've always stood by is, I don't know about you lot, but making a high ticket investment, that in itself actually changed me as a person and made me a better person. Because when you invest like a high ticket product, like so for these prospects that have never done it before, even just investing in a high ticket product alone, even making a big investment, is actually going to change their way of thinking and build them into like a new character in itself. So like that's the way that I operate from. I know that if I get this person to invest, even if the product is like 50% good and it's going to work, I know for a fact that it works, right? But like them just making that investment is going to get them out their own way into a new way of thinking. So that's something that I always try and remember when I come into my sales calls. Obviously, you want the products for like 100% fucking good, right? That's no brainer. But like, if you can just realize, like, even them just making the investment is actually going to help them to stop being, pardon my language, like massive girls, massive big girls. I'm gonna not say foul language because we've got Angelina here, so I wasn't gonna use foul language. That makes sense though. Cool. So like managing your
Mentality,
emotions.
not a gender. I hear you.
Go again.
I said it's a mentality, not a gender. I hear you.
Okay, there you go. That's very good. It's a mentality. Yeah, so like being a massive pussy then. It's a mentality. Managing your emotions, right? Rejection does not define you. Why are you letting a no dictate your day? This is what causes slumps. And I think the most dangerous place you can be is being in a slump is it's not I'm trying to use the best word for this. A slump is not something that exists, right? It's not something you can fall into. A slump is how you change your attitude towards what's happening. It's your attitude to the experience. It's your attitude to like you losing, right? A slump is not real. A slump only exists because you allow it to. You label yourself as being in a slump. If you can just allow a deal to slip and allow a bad conversation to slip, that's fine, right? That's what's supposed to happen. Not everybody's here to buy. But because you're so focused on the person that didn't buy, you forget about the person that is here to buy. Right? So you go through your third call in, you've not closed a deal. The fourth call, the person in here actually needs your help, but because you're so focused on the previous three, now you've forgotten about the fourth person. And then you allow that one to slip. Now all of a sudden, hey, I'm in a slump. I don't know what to do. My sales coach, my sales manager, I need this help. I need this. No, stop focusing on what you lost and start focusing on what you can win. Right? It's an opportunity here. If you don't close a day, if you have a bad day, it's an opportunity to learn for how you can improve. That's how you need to flip it. That's how you need to view the situation. If I like, I'm going to be honest, like even in when I closed for Tuesday and I was closing 2 to 3 key deals, I had 4 calls on my calendar some days and I didn't close a single one of them. That didn't mean that I just stopped and let that dictate my day. I just realized, okay, there's something else that I'm missing here. So I need to take it to Bill, for example, and I need to figure this out. Then the very next day that I did that with Bill and then went and learned, then I was closing deal after deal. Right. So instead of labeling myself in a slump, then I started to realize I can still get better here. Let me figure out what's going on. Right. So every no is a build of character to how far you're willing to go for the success you actually want. Would I be who I am today had I not taken all that rejection in sales? If I hadn't taken all those fuck yous, if I hadn't taken all those complaints of Kurt's the worst sales rep ever, he's so pressury, he's so pushy. If I hadn't taken all of those no's, would I be who I am today? Would that give me the ability to learn how to actually make sure I don't go through that experience again? No. So every rejection that you get in your life, take it as a learning curve of how can I improve in the situation that I'm in. That's what it should be. And it's much more powerful when you can operate from that place, trust me. You can't help everyone, but there is always someone to help, right? One lost sale does not mean it's the end of your career. Because I know how many times, even a bad day in your career, I know for a fact all of you say, maybe I shouldn't be in sales. Sales isn't for me. I'm not meant for sales. I know for a fact you do that because I did it myself. Every experience that you experience now, I've been through it myself and I know I know how it ends, right? So one less sale does not mean the end of your career. It doesn't mean your skills have gone sour. Your skills are there. Your response to failure will lead your journey, right? Because with success and failure, well, let's just take failure, right? With failure, there's 2 responses you can have. So you can either allow self-doubt to creep in and take over take over you as a person, and then just allow it to spill over and get worse and worse and worse. Or you can take failure as a reason to understand I failed, what needs to change so I can adapt and become successful. So that's what I mean when I say your response to failure will lead your journey. There is always someone out there in need. The more you focus on the people that said no, you quickly forget about the people that can say yes. Let me read that again. There is always someone out there in need. The more you focus on the people that said no, you quickly forget about the people that can say yes. Does anyone know? I've said this a number of times, but does anyone know what I mean by that? Because I've said this a number of times.
It's like the more you focus on, put more energy towards the people that didn't close, didn't come through as a deal, all that energy could be going to helping somebody else. But you're so caught up in all the people that said no, you might miss the person that needs your help right in front of your face that wants to say yes.
Give me an example of when I say it, though.
What would be a good example? It's like,
This could be your first. It could be your third. It could be your fourth call of the day.
it's their first call.
There you go. Could be your first call. It could be your second call. It could be your fifth call of the day. But guess what? It's their first call with you. It's their first experience on your sales call, right? So bear that in mind. You might, because if you bring your frustrations into the call, if you bring your doubts, if you bring your fears into the call, they don't need to see that. They need somebody that has leadership, that has confidence, that has conviction. They need that. They don't need the person that you were on the last sales call. They need the real version of you that is there on this sales call, right? That's what they need. They don't need the previous you. They need the you now. Fixing your relationship with how you view money. This one is pretty important, actually. Having a bad relationship with money in your own life is causing the friction you have with your ability to ask for the money. Does anyone know what I mean by that?
Because if you have
It's a
like
money
a-
block. You're
Yeah.
just getting blocks, realistically. Yeah.
because
If
how are you going to help
you don't look
somebody
at
with
your-
the same thing? My bad.
you
Go
don't-
ahead, brother.
All good, bro. Like if you don't look at your bills every single month and you just kind of forget about things and you don't pay people back and you're just creating this friction in your life, I suppose.
Yep. But what do I mean when I say your ability to ask for the money?
Well, you don't ask it with conviction.
What do you do?
The objections, can I?
Yep.
The objections you give are the one you get.
Okay. So if you have a bad relationship with money in your own personal life, then it's causing the friction you have with your ability to ask for money. So when it comes to the end of your call and you feel like this person hasn't got money or you're scared to actually ask for the money or to ask them about the financial situation, it's because of the friction you feel inside with your own personal finances, right? You're scared that this person won't have money because you think it's a big investment yourself. You're now scared to ask this person for their own money because you don't have the confidence or like the good relationship with money. You've not built that yet, right? How do I know? Because I've been there, right? I've been to the point where I didn't have much money. I didn't have any money, to be honest with you, and I was scared to think that somebody would pay $5,000 for an Amazon product. I had no fucking clue that somebody would pay that amount of money. Little did I know, I was about to expose myself to a completely different reality. A lot of people would fucking pay for it, right? Yeah, there's a level of patience that you need in entrepreneurship. What you've got to remember is most business owners out there that you'll probably speak to that are making 200 grand a year, they're probably taking like 50K out of that, if that.
Mhm.
Us having the ability to be able to make 10 grand a month on like that's that to some of like our exposure to money is quite odd, right? We're not a normal person where 10 grand a month is just like, oh, I could just make 10 grand a month this month. They just fuck it, right? Having the ability to be patient and wait your turn is massive. I spent 6 months locked in a bedroom taking sales calls 15 hours a day until I put myself ahead. If you can have that patience and realize like it's your journey, your life, stop looking at what everyone else is doing and start focusing on what you need to do to get to your baseline, that will take you much further. Because like, you're laughing because you're probably looking at that and thinking other people are doing this, other people are doing that. It's your journey, Joe. And I promise you now, if you can take that patience and actually just understand, okay, I need to make these sacrifices to be able to get to the level that I want to and get myself in a good position. That is a part of entrepreneurship. That's something that I'm going to have to face to take the sacrifices. I didn't speak to anyone for 6 months straight when I got into sales. I'm not joking. I didn't go out I didn't leave my bedroom.
Mhm.
I made a massive amount of sacrifices, and everybody thought I was depressed because I was sat in a room for 6 months taking sales calls. Everybody thought there was something wrong with me. But those sacrifices give me the ability to get so much further ahead in my journey and actually have the breathing room to then be able to go and do the things that I enjoyed in life.
Mm.
So you just need to understand that it's my journey. Okay, I made good money in the past. I know I can do it again. Now I've learned a lesson. I've been kicked in the teeth on purpose because I was probably being too silly. So now I've learned my lesson so I can go back out there and get to that build. That's now that again, it's the same thing, right? You're having to build those characteristics so that the next time you make good money, you've earned it this time around. You're worthy of making that type of money this time
Mm. Yeah.
because
Yeah. And what Guy's saying there about the delayed gratification, yeah, you can make all these excuses. However, it's just about taking one step at a time, I suppose.
100%. I've built, see, okay. I've I've built up like a good relationship with money now. When I grinded for those 6 months, I did go out and do silly things. I saved most of the money, but I was because it was a new experience to me making that kind of money. I did go out and do silly things, but I got that out of the way so that I could build the person that is now sensible and has a good relationship with money to now be way more responsible and careful with what I want in my life, right?
Mhm.
But that again is just you building your character to now the version of Joe where he's more responsible, more sensible, and now has bigger goals for himself and more patience to be able to get to the level that he wants to. Right. So
Mhm.
it's just all building you as a character and like how you build up your relationship between you and your outcomes. So the biggest thing for you is just staying patient. You're no less worthy because of your situation now. Doesn't make you any less of a person. It's just you learning from that experience and how put yourself in a position you want to be in. Are you with me?
Yeah, no, that speaks volumes, to be fair, bro. Thank you.
No worries, bro. Because I've been where most, like wherever you're at, and like wherever anybody's at in this chat in this situation, like I've been through the shit. It might seem like but like it's because of a reflection of like the commitment, the obsession, and just the work rate of just being committed to whatever the fuck. Like the ability to help my mum drove me so much further than anything else could, and it was just always having that reminder in the back of my mind that that's exactly why I'm doing it, and nothing will stop me until I do it. That you can speak to any, you can speak. I mean this with I can't think of the word. I mean this in the most humble way possible. You can ask anybody that I've ever worked with as like a sales coach. You can ask Kyle So, you can ask Bill Walsh. I'm 100% the best reflection of their students every single time. And the reason I say that is because I can promise you now I was the most committed and obsessed with actually getting better. Every time you can say that because like my genuine obsession with being so fucking good at sales and being able to make money and being able to provide for my mum was so strong that nothing was ever going to stand in my way. You know what I mean? So like I had to be patient and put in a lot of time to be able to get to that point. But I've been through every experience that most of you guys are in. Apart from Jeremiah, because he's got about 8 kids. I'm only messing. How many have you got? Oh, his mic's on mute. Your mic muted, bro.
There, can you hear me?
Yeah, go on.
I couldn't unmute. I've got three, and I've got one on the way.
Free, one of the way. There you go.
Yeah.
I've been in almost every experience. Um, Go on, what were you gonna say, bro?
Oh, I said they're expensive. That's
Yeah,
it.
there you go. So you gotta be patient so you can get ahead, and when you have kids, they're not as expensive. Right, go on, James.
So from like an individual perspective, like with the way that we're operating internally, like how do you define what somebody's relationship is with money? Like how do you define whether somebody's acting out of scarcity or out of abundance?
I'd like to answer to that one because you know it. It's what you're avoiding.
In what
100%
way? In
avoiding.
what
For a
way? In
long
what
period
way?
of
What are you
time,
avoiding?
I'd have bills coming in and I wouldn't look at the bills, even though I was making at that point 12K a month. I wouldn't look at an 80 pound bill. And I would take on additional loans and I'd buy for a car that I just like, and when realistically, I'm not watering the grass. So it's what you're avoiding. It's just a level of self-sabotage more than anything. So.
It's a good way to describe it. What are you In what sense are you talking about, James? In like your sales calls or like in your life?
Overall, in general, I would say, like in life.
Usually you act out of desperation. So like, let me give you a prime example. When I was in my first month of sales, not my first month, because when I officially got my first offer, I think a second month into that, the lead flow dropped and I had no calls on my calendar and I basically had like no money. So out of desperation, I went out to a call center job inside of Manchester and interviewed to get the job. I got rejected from that job, and like I was in like my mental state, my desperation was through the roof. Like I was doing everything I could, like I was just acting out of pure desperation in whatever way I could, right? So a lot of the times, like, and that was reflecting into my sales calls as well, because then what you'll do is you'll start to get too scared to burn the sale to the point where you don't even do a proper job on the sales call because you're so attached to the sale, you're scared of doing the wrong thing that you do the whole thing wrong. So you start acting out of desperation and they can smell it as well. So like just be
Yeah.
wary if you're in a place of like desperation, that's usually because of like a bad relationship with money as well.
hmm
Yeah.
When you're in a state where you're operating that way, how would you say to get out of that?
It's a good question. I think you need to have an honest conversation with yourself about what type of person or what type of man are you. So, for example, for me, when I was operating out that desperation, I definitely flipped a switch in my own brain where I was like, this isn't you as a person. Like, why are you acting this way? You are much better than this. You deserve much better than this. I genuinely asked myself, like, what do I actually need to start doing that I'm actually avoiding? So by that point, then I got into free offers, which is what I put in the sales chat before.
hmm
I got on free offers. I worked as a triager. I worked as in the morning from 9 a.m. up until it might have been 1 p.m. or 2 p.m. I was doing triaging, so I was setting calls for an offer. Between 2 p.m. to 6 p.m., I was taking offers for Pedro, and then 6 p.m. until like 3 a.m., I was taking calls for Tuza. And
hmm
then that when I did that, I made my first 10 grand a month. And that was just because I got out my own way. I was just like, stop acting out of desperation, just do the thing that I'm fucking avoiding. Right? Just get on
Yeah.
sales calls and just do the fucking job and just rip it over and over. Don't stop until you get to the point that you want to get to. This is what I'm saying, those sacrifices. Like sacrifices have to be made for the success you want, genuinely, all the time.
What do you feel like you were avoiding at that moment in time?
Kurt, there are a lot of people on the waiting room, by the
Oh
way.
shit, is the fuck. See what you've got me doing now, boys.
Whoops.
Um, Probably the truth that I was avoiding uh, I was avoiding being a man. I was trying to take the easy route. I was
What
trying
do
to
you
take the
mean?
easy route of just like, oh, I'll just go and find a job and then hopefully that can pay me like a salary just to kind of flow by. So I was avoiding actually being a man and actually just getting on fucking sales calls and just ripping the shit out of them. I was taking like a safe route. You know, maybe this job can protect me for a little bit. It can get me by until I'm done. If I would have got that job probably would have protected me in a way of like I never would have had the success that I want now. So everything happens for like good reasons. I like sometimes people used to say that. I used to think it was wishy-washy, but I always believe it to be true now. Because I got fired from my initial job, then I got rejected from that, and my head was so far at my ass I couldn't see which way was straight. But
hmm
then it come to a point where I looked at myself like genuinely, then I asked myself like, this isn't the person that I've built over like the past 4 years because I was going to the gym and I was building like that level of confidence. This isn't the person that I've built.
Yeah.
Who is the person that I've built, right? Um, um, so it's usually like, what are you avoiding that just needs to be done? Because right now you might ask me a question and say like, hey, should I get on a second offer? Knowing that you already should get on a second offer. Not you
hmm
specifically, but like for example, someone asked me in the
Right.
chat before, should I get a second offer? If you're asking yourself that question, there's a reason why. And if you feel like you should, right?
Yeah.
Going through those experiences of being in a bad spot financially as a sales rep, that's what builds the best sales reps every single time. It's what builds you as a person. I know I mentioned this before, but like actually building who you are as a person inside, that will make you a much better closer out of that because it's like it's so easy to start off in closing, be in a bad spot, and then just sort of like, hey, do this, help me do this, help me do this. Hey, what should I do here? What should I do here? When you come from a place of like, I'm going to take control of my situation for the people that are important to me, you become a better fucking person. Instead of leaving your success into somebody else's hands, hey, can you help me do this? Can you help me do this? If you just like,
Mhm.
I'm just gonna do whatever the fuck I need to do to take control of my life. Trust me, this is what I'm saying though. Like, it's like you always ask me questions, like not you specifically, but you guys always ask me questions of like, how do I sell this person that's struggling with their limitations? Do you believe there's other people that have been in a similar situation and have still made it work? Do you know why I say that? Because I know for a fact that I've been in a similar situation and still made it work. So if I believe that to be true, and if you believe it to be true, then it's your limitations that are keeping you stuck, not the situation. It's your limitations. You with me? So like the fact that I had to go through that experience of self-control and like taking control of the situation allowed me to have better quality sales conversations because I had to go through that experience to then get out my own way so I can get my prospects out their own way.
No, that makes a lot of sense for sure.
Are you sure?
Yeah. No, I see where you're coming from.
Because I think that's a big issue, by the way. A lot of closers, they don't like they want the prospects to take responsibility. They want prospects to take control. They want the prospects to make the decisions. But like, there's decisions that you go over in your head that you seek validation before you do them. So
Right.
like, what are you honestly reflecting to your prospects? Are you a person that takes control of the situation, or do you look for that extra certainty before you do it? You with me?
Yeah, 100%. I totally see where you're coming from.
Right, go on, Jeremiah.
Yeah, I had two questions. So one, when you were going through this phase, like how many hours a day were you putting in, like between calls and training?
When
That 6 month period you were talking about.
that 6 month period is, mate, like I was in such a bad financial spot that I had nothing better to do than take sales call all day. But bear in mind, this was like a ramp up period, right? This was my introduction to sales. I was brand new. So I knew nothing. Like I was starting from scratch. Never sold a thing in my life. So I was working from 9 a.m. all the way up until 3 a.m. And then eventually, like in the 5 month period, I stopped taking calls from that time, started working from, I believe it was 1 p.m. UK time up until like 4 a.m. UK time. Now, obviously, I don't expect you to do that, right, anymore. Because I've kind of built the pathway here. The reason you're here is because I built the pathway to the point where from June 2024, I was taking no more than 3 or 4 calls a day. I was working 3, 4 hours a day and I was making 30, 50 grand a month. Because I built that skill set to be able to have those type of conversations to be able to then have my time and money, right? But that's kind of the skill set that I want to instill in you now. Have the ability to take less calls but make more money. That's what I want to give you. That's what you'll learn here. That's the purpose, right? You with me?
Yep.
What was the answer you were looking for, or what were you looking for out of the
No,
question?
no, that was good. I mean, it was just to give me just an idea. Like there's days where I feel like I maximize every moment, and then there's days that I don't. And the days that I don't, I'm like, oh man, I let today slip. I shouldn't have done that. So I was just curious how many hours a day you were putting in.
Towards the end, like I was doing like no more than 4 calls a day. I would probably take the odd follow-up like later on in the evening if it required that time, but I was taking no more than 4 a day. Because I knew if I took 4 a day, I would close like 2 or 4, 2 or 3, or even 4, right? But I would have way better quality conversations. My day used to be so for clarity, so this makes sense. What I used to do is I used to do 11 a.m. until 1 p.m. Then I would take an hour break, and then I would do the next 2 calls. So what that means is in like I would always have more time for the second call because I had nothing afterwards. Yeah. So my calendar,
Yeah.
my calendar was organized in a way that it was more efficient, and I would get better quality calls, the more money. Yeah. Fuck, a lot of questions today. I was hoping to get through this. Let me go grab another bottle of water, please. One sec, my throat is killing me. Go on, Hiller.
Um, I was gonna ask you, Kurt. It's more of a like a mindset type of question. You mentioned that before, like when you were in bad spots, in order for you not to operate out of like scarcity mindset, you were almost like reminding yourself that you deserve more. So I was curious, was there anything specific that you almost like did to almost like convince yourself that you like deserved more? My big problem is that like for me personally, 2024 was like the hardest year of my life. I thought I was cursed and everything, and like now I'm in a way better spot. But like, how do I guess is there a specific way you would recommend to operate out of like for me to be able to focus on like bigger things instead of operating not with the mindset of like how do I not go back to that spot because that's like my biggest like thing and like fear right now like
Cool.
um
Perfect. I'll tell you why that's perfect, right? Right now, I'm probably in the best spot I've ever been in my life. Do you know what my fear is every day? Every single day?
what
The same fear that you got.
shit
That exact same fear that you've got of going back to me being broke, not able to support my mum or support myself. It's my fear every single day. I wake up with it every day. It gives me anxiety every single day. Every day. But the difference is, what are you going to do? Are you going to let it control you or control it? Because I promise you now, I control it every day. How do I control it? Well, I stick to my word, I trust my word, and I back my word every single day. I just can keep up with the actions that have got me to this point, and I continue with them every single day. Same routine, the same process that has taken me from where I am to where I am today. It's repeated, same cycle over and over. It might sound boring to some people. Guess what? That's what success is, unfortunately. That same fear, I've experienced it for nearly like 3 years straight, 2 years straight, whatever, right? But it's the same fear that drives me to be better and do better every day. One thing that I will tell
that's
you
good.
is why I felt like I was a person that deserved more. This might seem wishy-washy, but like I went to the gym for 4 years straight and I built up a person where I backed my word every day, which I still do today. I backed my word. I promised myself that I would go to the gym. I promised myself that I would get in good shape. Getting in good shape is more than just physical, it's mental, right? You build up a level of delayed gratification. You build up a level of confidence in who you are as a person and the fact that you actually follow through with what you promise yourself. Because I built that character up, I knew that I was a person that deserved more because I was actually a person that followed through with what I said I was going to do. So when I was in a bad spot, I was like, I know I can do more than this. I know I'm capable of more than this. I've already reflected it inside my own person, like my own body. I know for a fact I can reflect it into my own finances. So it's like this is what I'm saying though. Like this is covered down here as well. Like who you are outside of sales is a massive part of who you are inside of sales. Massive. You think it's wishy-washy, but it matters. Little things like that. Yeah. But
That's actually really good, thank you.
no worries, bro. But remember that fear is a good thing to have. Just remember, let it fuel you every day. Fuel it into your prospects. Like, listen, like when you use cost of an action, I used to use it every single time. Like in a way, was my mentality. Most of the most successful people I know, they're driving away from something that they never want to experience again. What is that for you? Because I know for me, it's having to X, right? Shit, there might be people in the waiting room. No, yeah, there is. Does that help though, bro?
Yes, a lot. Thank you so much, Kurt.
Of course. Go on, Emma.
Okay. So I wasn't in high ticket this time last year, and I know that we're like pretty much prime like holiday season now. And I was just wondering like what are some typical like objections and like delays that people give you like around Christmas time? Like is it just like delay or is there like anything else that like you've seen to kind of be aware of?
I don't know. They don't exist in my mind.
Well, I mean, they don't exist for me. I just want to know for my call. It's like I don't like. I just want to know, like, because like you sold this time last year, so I'm just curious.
Actually, this time last year, I took the full December off.
Did you?
Yeah, yeah. I
Oh,
closed.
okay.
I, I closed.
Fuck.
I closed 250K deals and then took the full December off.
Okay.
You're asking a Tuesday. I actually Tuesday. I had December, I had my best month there in December. So I think you would be more surprised that people give you those objections. I'd be very surprised. I think you'd be more
Yeah.
surprised than you think that people actually don't give those objections as much as people say they do.
Yeah,
People,
it's more.
go on.
Well, I was just saying, yeah, it was more like we had like a meeting this morning and they're like, like be prepared. Like this month you're going to get hit with objections. Like, just walk in like expecting that. So I was just kind of like, okay, like I know like kind of like typical
I
like
would, I would
objections
just,
I get, but
I would just say it then. You know what? It's interesting. Most people, it's good that you're here, right? Because most people are kind of pushing this off, like the new year, new me. But you decided to be the person that shows up before it.
mm,
Why did you, how come you decided to pursue this before? See what I mean? Just
yeah,
that kind of stuff.
yeah. Um, And then can I ask you like one more quick question?
Go on.
Okay. So talking about just like pushing like your limits like as a rep, like I feel like when I see things that like I'm not happy with, like I'm quite quick at like wanting to change it. So the offer that I was on, I've been on it for a month and a half now, and the ticket price is good, the quality of leads are good, but like the volume is just like so minimal. Like in November, I had 17 calls and I've got like the capacity to take like way more calls than that. So then I decided to like onboard onto a second offer. So I onboard onto a second offer, and then I'm also running like 2 webinars. And I guess it's just like knowing like when that like limit is of like too much, because I went from being like I'm not getting calls, I was pissed off and like frustrated, so then I went and I like stacked my entire December. And I guess like my fear is like I've taken these things on, I'm like, what if I just can't, what if I've like spread myself like too thin and then it's like I can't
Yeah.
do it well.
What if you make the most money you've ever made in your life, though?
I know. You know what I mean? Like I don't I do think
Right.
that. Like I feel like I've got two voices in my head.
Like genuinely, like if you've got that amount of opportunity, what if you make more money you've ever made in your life, and then you walk into
Yeah.
December with like a massive smile on your face, and you'll be able to like give yourself a good Christmas. Like that little sacrifice now for the next 3 weeks of like bashing your head against the wall and feel like your prospects are giving you a hard like. I promise you now, if you take that amount of volume, you'll close a lot of cash.
Yeah, that's what I mean. Is like I want to know what I'm capable of. Like it's like I just want to go. I want to like work
Actually,
every fucking day in December, take like 10, 12 calls. Like it's like I've already collected like 25K this morning. It's like I just want to like run it as hard as like I
yeah,
can.
that's 2.5K in commissions it's 2.5K in commissions on the 1st of December. You could literally make 20 to 30K this month. If I was you, trial and error is everything. Like trial and error of like pushing your limits to seeing how much money you can make in a single month, especially in December. If I was you,
Yeah,
I'd just be going all the way as hard as I could.
yeah,
Might not be what you
yeah.
want to hear, but I'm going to tell you what you need to hear. So
That's
somebody
no,
wants to
that's
hear.
good. That's what I wanted to hear.
Good.
Because everyone's been like, "Oh, don't burn out. Like, be careful." Like, and I'm just like,
Yeah, but you don't know what burnout is unless you experience it, right? You don't
that's
know
what I
how
mean.
far
Is I'm just like, I'm like, I feel like I should push that limit because it's like I've yet to actually go there and being like, what is that capacity? But then it's like even when you hit that capacity, then you grow and you grow that threshold.
Exactly. Not only that as well, if you push your burnout and you get to a point of where you're making a fuck ton of money, you get to go away and actually have a good experience of like you can take yourself on vacation, be like, fuck, I burnt out, but at least I can now burn out in a fucking relaxing place in a beautiful sea.
Yeah.
That's what I did in June, might have been June or July. I burnt myself out to the maximum and I was fucking red-eyed and I just booked a place to Marbella and I was like, oh, that was nice. Actually, fucking burn out. Now I'm actually in a nice place. So it's
Yeah.
like that's why it's worth it, right? That's why it's worth being in sales because you can do that. There's not on you could literally make 30 grand a month this month, right? And if you were to go to a normal job, you don't get to dictate how much money you want to make by the workload that you put in. You would just be paid
Yeah.
a salary. It's a luxury, right?
Yeah.
So you want to
Yeah.
make 30 grand a month?
Fuck yeah.
Get to it then. So yeah, fucking burnout. Don't speak that kind of language in here.
I need someone to like slap some common sense back
Fucking
in
burnout.
me.
Never heard such a word in my life.
I know. I was like, I know Kurt's gonna tell me that.
Right, go on, my good friend. Ryan, my good friend.
Okay. Yeah, I think it was Hill. He asked a question, and you might have already kind of answered this because essentially what I was going to ask you is you say you have like a routine, and that's been the thing that's got you to this point, right? Where it's like every day doing the same thing continually. My question was primarily, how do you not get caught up in the like routine where it's like you're just doing the actions versus like, and then potentially like losing the aggression, if that makes sense? Because, and I think you answered it by saying you wake up every day with that anxiety or that
Yes,
fear of
that was
like,
going to be my answer.
but I feel like I don't have that anxiety or fear. And that's where it's like, obviously that comes from like growing up in different backgrounds and stuff like that and things you've gone through. I
Yeah.
feel like I haven't gone through a situation like that, so I don't naturally have something like that. Now, it's not something where it's like I feel like it ebbs and flows, where it's like sometimes I'll just catch myself almost in a routine, but not like mindlessly in a routine where I'm doing it without kind of operating with that level of aggression.
Yeah.
And so it's more so like, is there anything specific within your routine that you're doing that is almost like a reminder to create the aggression, to create that like, like you say, skull fucking your way through it?
And see, this is good as well, though, right? Because this is two different completely perspectives, right? It's one that's operating from a place of like, I never want to go back there versus a person I've never experienced that, so I don't know what it's like to be in that situation, right? This is good as
Yeah.
well because this will relate into like further training that we'll go into. Um, I think you have to set clear targets that are within reach within a short time frame that you're heading towards. So, for example, I'm dieting down pretty fucking hard at the moment, but the reason I'm doing that is because I know exactly I know I know to pinpoint exactly the kind of physique that I want to get to, and it's going to take me quite a bit of legwork to get to that point, right?
Mm.
But that's a close enough within reach target that I can get there. Whereas if like it's like 20 grand, I want to make 20 grand a month, but to do what? So for example, my first year of sales, I got the 6K loan, but I had to make a decision. Do I want to give that to my mom or do I want to keep it for myself so I can invest in myself? Well, I kept it so I invested in myself, right? So by the end of the year, I wanted to get to a point where I could buy my mum a kitchen with the money that I've made. So
Yeah.
like was every day in mind of like that's the target that I want to head towards. So I think maybe setting clear expectations of why you're doing what you're doing. So like you go into the gym for what purpose? Like what kind of a physique do
Mm.
you actually want?
Yeah, so like a tangible outcome, but in the short term.
Yeah, exactly. Something short enough that's within reach, right? Because if it's so far away, like I want to make $500 million, I want to make $100 million. No, you're gonna take you're not going to be clear on the actions that are needed to get to the point. So if you want to make 30 grand a month, set clear expectations of what needs to happen to get to 30 grand a month, right? Not $1 million, 30K a month. Because then once you
Yeah.
hit 30K a month, then you will have clear expectations. Okay, how do I get to 50 now? How do I get to 100? Now, how do I get to 200, right?
So let's just say, because based off that, right? Like, let's say your goal is $1 million, whatever it is in a year, which is like 100K, 80K, whatever a month. What you're saying is don't reverse engineer it and like have it all planned out because that could change. But what you're saying is plan the short term step first in
Yes.
front of you. And then naturally at that point, then figure out the next thing.
Yeah, see, that's a good point that you make again, right? Things could change. You could plan your way to 100 grand a month, but by that point, things could change, right? But within the shorter term goals, things aren't going to change as much. Whereas
Mm.
you can get to that point a little bit quicker, and then once you're at that point, your headspace becomes a little bit clearer because you have more resources available and more
Yeah.
brain capacity to think that much further ahead. Of like, I know what it takes to get to this point. Now I also need to figure out what I need to do to get to this point. Yeah.
Mm. Yeah, that makes sense.
It's a fair point that you raised, though. If you have no idea like of what the fear is that you want to run away from, then it's pretty hard to have like that aggression of running so far. Because it's like the analogy we use of if we put a gold medal in front of Usain Bolt versus a bloodthirsty tiger, like what's he gonna run away faster from? It's always the fucking bloodthirsty tiger, right?
Yeah, I think that's what it was, right? It's that like actually it's a weird way to think about it, but it's like I actually always envied people, and it's kind of weird to think, but that had grown up in a background such as yourself, because it's
Yeah.
like I know I speak from like a place of gratefulness in that like I grew up well off, so I didn't have those same concerns. And so that was one point where it was like I didn't have that level of aggression because there was nothing to lose. Whereas like if nothing happened, I'd be like, okay, cool, I'm fine.
Yeah, I
And
think
that's why I was like I had to like as of recently, I feel like it's just putting myself in like super uncomfortable intentional spots, like constantly, and just pushing myself to do something that I would never do. I feel like
this
that's what it is.
this might be good for you then as well, actually, because we're going to go into this in a little bit later as well. To be honest,
Yeah.
exposing yourself to bigger environments. What I mean by that is like Dubai is a prime example of exposing yourself to bigger quality people, bigger quality bank accounts, and bigger, like more quality of drive, like an exposure to a different life, an exposure to a life that requires you to actually level up, to kind of a kick in the teeth to remind yourself, like, I'm actually not who I think I am. I'm not as comfortable as I'd like to be. These guys are that live in a certain way. I can't do that. So now it requires you to kind of step up in a way and expose yourself to like a different environment. I know you just come back from Marbella. Marbella can sometimes be full of like online fitness coaching brokers, so just be careful of that one. But
I
like
agreed.
Dubai, Dubai is really good for like exposing yourself to a different kind of rich. Maybe sometimes that's what you need because it might be a kick in your teeth to your ego.
Mm.
Maybe because come from a good place, you're not well aware of like how good life can actually be compared to what you're experiencing now.
Yeah, I guess it's like exposing myself to levels of the game.
Exactly.
Which is like just being around other individuals that are doing like 3 times better than me, 4 times, that type of thing.
Yeah. One thing I will say as well, it's easy to look on the internet and say, oh, that looks good, right? But until you expose it to yourself in real life, it's way different. Because the internet, you can flick through your phone, you can flick off the screen and then just go back to normal life and completely forget it. Put yourself in a real life environment around those people, all of a sudden it's a little bit harder. For example, I surround myself with Jordan Lee and he sits there calling me a brokey like 10 times a day. It's fucking hilarious, but it also is a massive kick in the teeth because he's not wrong. Right?
Yeah,
It's
that
like,
makes sense.
you with me?
Yeah.
It's a fair point though, because Frankie raised it to me the other day. Frankie's in sort of like a similar situation to you, where he's a little bit unsure on like what to do next because he doesn't really have the clarity of like having to go through that fear, right? And maybe it's a good conversation to have with somebody that is in that situation because I've not been through it. I probably couldn't give you the best advice, but the only thing I can tell you is like when you get to a level and you expose yourself to a new quality of people, it definitely gets your mentality and thinking different. Yeah.
That's why it's an interesting thing though, because like a majority of people that I will have met have gone through a more background. Well, I'd say I'm not going to generalize and say it, but most of the people I've met have come from similar situations to yours versus coming off from like a more well-off background where it's like then they've gone and done something with their life
Yeah,
at that point, which is a different thing. But yeah, I get the perspective of just surrounding myself around other guys that are like basically just gonna get my ego in check, which makes sense.
exactly. It's good. It's good for you, right? It is good for you if you take it in the best way possible, right? It's like
Yeah,
constructive criticism, right? You either take it
that's
well.
good advice.
You sure?
Yeah, don't worry, I'm not glazing.
Shamar, is that how I pronounce it? Shamar?
Yeah, bro, that's correct.
Nice
I
to meet
just
you, bro.
wanted to add to, yeah, nice to meet you as well, and everybody here. I just wanted to add to what you said just now because think of it like the sheiks in Dubai, right? That grew up, wealthy. Like what keeps them going now? Like they had a very marvelous life from the time they were young. But being around those kind of people and seeing a different type of rich, it might put you in a different frame of mind for sure,
Yeah,
right?
100%. For a lot of those guys, there's like a point to prove as well, which is really good. Like they've got a point to prove of like they didn't just come from a rich family. Like they're definitely capable of making their own accomplishments. Sometimes a point to prove or like a certain perception is something they chase as well. Yeah. Anything else you wanted to add, Shamar?
Nah, nah, that's just it.
Where are you from?
Barbados, in the
Really?
Caribbean.
Fuck.
Yeah,
Nice, bro. See, Emma, could go to Barbados, get a fucking nice tan on the fucking beaches or something at the end of this month. Nice,
real.
bro.
Yeah.
Back onto this. So like there's having a bad relationship in your life which causes friction in your ability to ask for money. The external pressure applies to your conversation, which allows you to become misguided in your intentions in sales. So what I mean by this is like sometimes you can become so well, I kind of spoke on this, like so attached to Frankie's here actually. This might be good actually. Is Frankie here? Your ears
You
ringing,
want
Frankie?
both. Ears ringing.
Yeah.
Why?
We're just speaking about you.
Fucking hell. Why?
We was having a conversation about me and Hila because we come from like a place of like fear that we're running away from like something we never want to go back to. Whereas you've been in a situation where like you've not had to come from that, but you're still trying to find like your way of like
Yeah.
thing that drives you.
hmm
Um, and I was just kind of giving some advice, like sometimes you might need to put yourself or expose yourself into like bigger rooms or bigger people to show yourself that you're not as comfortable as you think you could be. Um,
hmm
that's kind of the conversation we're having, but you brought to the conversation with a friend.
Yeah. No, that's fair. And also make uncomfortable investments all the time. Which made another one, so
There you
we're
go.
we're moving. Yep.
There you go. There's another one. If you don't expose yourself to the capabilities of money, like how much there actually is out there, you will set yourself on the idea of, you will sell yourself on the idea of nobody's willing to spend high amounts. This is something that I kind of struggled with when I first started closing 50K deals, right? This is something I genuinely struggled with. Like people were really going to spend this amount of money, but it wasn't until I started investing my own money and spending more money that I started to realize people will spend this amount of fucking money. Especially when I was closing for my first set of 5K deals, I was like, there's no way somebody's actually going to spend 5K on a fucking Amazon program. Little did I know, like I mentioned before, everybody wants to spend 5K on an Amazon program. Money is a tool. Stop being so emotionally attached to money. Fuck. Does you no favors, right? It allows you to become attached to the sale. Unfortunately, people can smell it, and when it stenches in such a way, it costs you thousands of dollars. So don't force your prospects into investing what you aren't willing to invest in yourself. Completely incongruent. Okay? Not letting outside factors fall into your sales calls. By the way, if anybody's new to like this, what we're doing here, I'm kind of running through the process of like my whole mentality of like what I've learned to be true from my experience in sales. So like what matters most in your ability to sell, who you are, and what you believe, and managing your emotions. Not letting outside factors fall from your life fall into your sales calls. Remove any sour experiences happening in your life from calls. It leads you to become foggy, get frustrated, and lose money. Entrepreneurship does not give a fuck about your emotions. What happened today, yesterday, or tomorrow is irrelevant. It's a tough pill to swallow, but prospects are here for their problems, not yours, motherfuckers. So if you've got problems in your own life, your prospects do not give a fuck. They've got their own problems that they're trying to solve. And guess who's the one to solve the problem? You. So stop acting out of a place of fucking selfishness and start acting out of a place of care and genuine help. Okay? Pre-call intentions. Any questions on that? I know we had a couple of other questions. Actually, we've gone back and forth on questions. We'll skip that for now. Pre-call intentions. Okay? Purpose of the call is serving the client in the best way possible. This is a good one. See, this is what I was speaking about. Different opinions. You and Frankie have a different experience from being able to, like, the different phase you come from. Whereas me and Hila, we come from different experiences as well. So, like, everybody's going to have different opinions. We can't force feed our opinions on them. So, respect their opinions, their limitations, and their way of thinking. It's not our job to force feed them into a decision, but guide them into a better one than they're experiencing now. This one is really important. This is one that we covered on a coaching session the other day, actually. The people that force pain. Not everyone has pain, but they are experiencing a problem. Does anyone understand what I mean when I say that? Does anybody understand what
I asked.
Go on.
Sorry, I cut you off. I was gonna say I asked you a similar question and you answered it to me on one of the coaching calls. I asked you like, do you go into pain or do you go into problem? And I think if I'm understanding it correctly, it's more so like there could be pain, but there could not be pain. But the problem is, are they who they need to be in order for them to get what they want? And like that's the problem. If they're not, that's the problem. Am I understanding it correctly?
Yes. That 10 minutes that we did on that question that you asked me was really good, actually. But I don't think I've uploaded that yet, but I need to separate them. Not everybody has pain, right? There's some people that just have a genuine problem they're trying to solve. Even if they're making good money, but not as much as they want to, right? They might be making 20 grand a month, but there's still a problem to be solved, right? Stop trying to force pain into your conversation. Stop trying to force your conversation and have their conversation, right? So not everyone has pain, but they are experiencing a problem. Like Catherine sells AI OnlyFans. Most of those clients are not experiencing pain, but they do have a problem of being able to allocate the money into somewhere that's going to give them a better return than they're experiencing. A problem, not a pain point, a problem. Okay? Everybody aware of that? Makes sense? Yes, if you want to buy AI OnlyFans, reach out to Catherine. Never sell a solution that does not fix a problem. Never sell a solution that does not fix the problem they have. Okay, if they could have made bear in mind, this is everything that I keep in mind before my calls. If they could have made their decision on their own, they would. It's my job to guide them. again, this is reverting back to what I said before. This is maybe my first, my fourth, my seventh call of the day, but it's their first call with me. So give it everything I have. Give it everything you have. Do you know what I mean by that, Shamar? This one?
Yeah, I from watching the videos, I hear you say a couple of times, like it might be, as you said, your seventh call, but it's their first time with you, their first impression, and you are responsible for helping them make that change. So you have to show up at any highest state you could possibly show up in.
Very fucking good. Well done. Love it. Perfect. That was a perfect description of it. Pre-call management and state. The reason you warm up in the gym is the same reason you warm up in sales. Build a flow, activate your brain before you come into sales calls. There's a couple of ways that I used to do this. So I used to listen back to my old sales calls or other people's calls. I found the most success when I did this, genuinely, other people's calls. What I used to do is I used to listen to certain questions and certain outcomes that the person used to get in the sales call, and then think like, how can I switch that into a different way? How can I create variations of that same question, but get the same answer? Fuck. I found this highly beneficial to remind my brain and teach my brain into a new way of thinking with objections or better quality questions. Motivational videos, remind myself of my actual purpose and what it actually takes to become successful in life. These are some of the main things that I used to do before sales calls, so that I was a little bit more primed going into it, and I was a little bit warm, and I used to activate my brain. Have I prepared the best I can for my calls? For you motherfuckers, I know some of you motherfuckers that are in Eastern time zones, rolling straight out of bed into sales calls is a massive no-no to me, and I don't think it's a bad reflection, right? Is that honestly the most amount of effort you can give yourself and most importantly your prospects? Having a morning routine. I found the gym to be my own personal time where I can release my energy, give my brain thinking time, and give the day my best mentality. Because if I can make the hardest choice I can earliest in my day, that makes everything else a breeze. So for example, I spend a lot of time with the Stairmaster because I know that's the hardest part of my day. If I can get that out of the way, my dopamine is flying, I feel good, my energy is rock solid, and I'm ready for whatever the fuck comes my day. You think about it, is the hardest part of my day? I just spent 40 minutes on the Stairmaster, you fool. I'm ready for a fucking think about it, you mad bastard. It's easy. Oh shit, there's people trying to come in. Check. Have I trained on my biggest weaknesses? Each time I had a failure, I understood there was room for improvement. So instead of controlling me, I controlled it. I would write it out and continue to understand the problem. So next time it happened, I was prepared, right? Like a muscle. When we have a lagging body part, the first thing we do is give it that little bit of extra effort so that it gets into place. Role plays, notes, obsession, practice makes perfect, right? Whatever you need to do. This is probably my biggest thing, like the just taking the notes and the obsession. Some people like to do role plays. They weren't my ideal scenario. It wasn't really for me. I'd rather be making money. But regardless, practice makes fucking perfect, okay? Make sure I'm fully present, limiting my own distractions. Your environment is also a reflection of your performance. Don't put yourself in circles of people that don't push you to be better and do better. Nobody cares more about your success than you. The more present you are on the phones, the better your ability to listen, right? The more present you are on the phones, the better your ability to listen. Whatever takes your presence away, remove it. Don't let something that can be done later affect the now. So what I mean by that is something that can always be done later, don't let it affect the now when the person is in front of your conversation, okay? Go on.
I just had a quick question when it comes to like your environment that I'm sure you've experienced as you grow so rapidly. A lot of the times you outgrow a lot of like the people, and like how do you balance that between like surrounding yourself by people that like push you and grow you versus like cutting people off that you're not keeping up to the same pace? Like
What's the actual question?
my question is like as you were growing, like how did I'm sure like the people that's like you hang around now are not the same people that you hang around when you first started closing, and how you determine it's like it's like it's energy, it's people that you're putting like into. So it's like if they're not growing with you, it doesn't mean that they're bad people or anything. It's just like they're not on the same trajectory, they're not on the same speed, and suddenly what like the people that used to push you, that used to inspire you, you no longer get that from them.
What's the question though? Is it like how do you isolate yourself or how do you move on?
Yeah, just kind of like how do you decide like when to like I don't know, like cut those ties, and like I feel like I can be like a bit ruthless with that. So I was
Well,
just like wondering
you probably
your opinion.
Yeah, you're probably speaking to the perfect person because I'm pretty ruthless with it. I'm very easily to like just move on from people. Uh,
Yeah.
to be honest, I'm quite a busy person where most of my time is stuck in the day to day anyway, so it's just kind of easy for like things to fade out.
Yeah.
I don't think it's do you cut them off? No, but do you stop giving them so much of your time? I probably should have put something in here about being selfish because there comes a point in your life where you have to decide to be selfish, right? Selfish in a way of like very protective of your time, who you spend your
Yeah.
time with. The
That
sacrifices, let me finish this, sorry. The sacrifices that you'll have to make are saying no to certain things that you don't want to say no to. That will have to come. And eventually people will build up that consistency to the point where they stop asking you, and then naturally that relationship just fades. Do you cut them off completely? No, like there's still certain people that I still speak to, but am I as close as I was back then? Absolutely not. But that's like the sacrifices that you have to make. And I think sometimes it's just saying no to the things that they ask of you to be selfish with your own protective of like your own time. Because it's your success. And like it meant like it says there, nobody cares more about your success more than you. They never will. So I think the way you're moving now, the amount of sales calls you're taking, that those relationships will likely just fade out. And I think it's just a natural appreciation for you to just let them fade out as they are. And if they're good enough friends and they're good enough relationships, they'll come back anyway.
yeah.
Probably the best thing you can do for yourself is using the word no,
Yeah. Yeah.
generally. Like entrepreneurship and being successful is quite lonely sometimes. Like it genuinely is. Like 6 months locked in your room for a long time. It's like quickly passes, but like you soon realize like it's actually worth it to say the no.
It's also it's like the speed that you do it at, and that's like what I've seen like time and time again is it's like I go into places and I'm like, okay, cool, you're at that level. I want to hang around you. I want to be in these rooms. I want to have these conversations. And then it's like I catch you, and then it's like, well, then what's that next ceiling? What's that the next
Yeah.
room? And I feel like this is like a like I'd hit that point kind of like recently where I was like, okay, like there's a very clear next room that like I want to be in, very different conversations, and it's like each room you get in, there's like less and less people than like when you first start, because when you first start, like everyone's at the same place.
One thing that will happen as you continue to level up though is like the people that are now in your level, they will naturally they will just naturally like come into your life, and I found that to be true like every experience, like the people that are the level that you want to be at or like they're in the same level, they will naturally just buy products like you'll meet them naturally.
Do you feel like you go through transition periods, like when you're going from one, when you're kind of transitioning from one to the next?
What does that mean?
I mean, like what it feels like is like I feel like when like I outgrow like a certain level, then it's like I go through a period where it's like more isolated, more alone, and then it's like I find that like next kind of set, if you know what I mean.
um I think so, yeah. It moves pretty fast, like it's actually quite a weird journey to look back on. I think I've probably got more internet friends now more than anything. Like,
Yeah. No, literally. Just one of those weirdos with all these online friends.
yeah.
Like
Um, like I think just naturally you just come across those. Like even Frankie. Frankie's like an actual good friend. We've met a couple of times in person, unfortunately. Um,
Fuck you.
but like
Even Frankie, by the way, that's crazy. What do you mean? Even. You're so blessed to have me in your circle.
like even for, I think you'll naturally just meet the right people that have the same mentality, and you'll know like whether they're good for you or not. It probably is like trial and error again. Like it's just trial and error of like you'll spend time with certain people and you're like they're at my level, but they're not really like where I want to go, kind of thing.
yeah. Or it's like they don't have that mindset. It's like yes, but like mindset wise, drive wise, it's just like in not having the same
Yeah,
conversation.
but you'll just go through different experiences of that as well, and then you'll eventually meet the people that are actually supposed to be in your circle as well. But cutting people off, I think that just comes. I think that just comes natural as you go through the
It'll
experience.
fade.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it'll fade naturally.
Yeah.
Fuck. My nose. Ryan, go on.
Oh no, I wasn't gonna ask a question. I was just gonna touch on what Emma was saying to Emma, because it's like the way you're phrasing the question is almost like, do I have to forcefully cut them off? But it's like it's kind of like a natural thing that ends up happening anyways. Because like and I don't know if anyone here kind of agrees with it, but as you kind of start leveling up, the conversations that you start having with those other individuals that you're fading out with, they kind of almost start becoming boring, or you just don't align with
Yes.
conversations anymore. And then like because of you not feeling present anymore, they'll sense it themselves too. And then they'll start distancing themselves. So it's like it's not something you have to force. It's most of the time something that just ends up like they end up cutting it off and they get the message. Right. Like
Yeah.
Kurt saying, if you say no enough times, they'll just get the
Yeah.
message and then it ends up fading. And then when it comes to new people, again, because like you're saying, you're describing it as like phases, but it's like Kurt's, like when you start tuning into a certain frequency and you're like raising it, those people at that level will start to just be attracted naturally.
Yeah.
And then they'll just come into your life, like
Yeah.
Kurt said. So I think
Yeah.
it's more of like a natural thing versus just trying to force your way through that process because people will go when they go and people will start coming when they come, and that's it.
Yeah.
That's why a lot of people like, and Kurt's probably good at this, it's just like not being attached to the whole idea of like relationships, but just being more so being present. It's like, okay, you're here now in my life, just enjoy that time, and then that's it.
Yeah.
Bro
And not
wrapped
being
up.
guilty.
Bro wrapped up my full rambling into the most complete
Yeah,
sentence.
literally. Like, damn, he was like Kurt Translator 101. That was fantastic.
That was
So
good.
to summarize.
That was actually really good. No, that was class.
I'll take that. I'll take it.
That is good though, because it what he said is basically like straight to the point. Like it does naturally just like fade out, and then they get the point, and then you just move on to somebody else, and then you'll get it eventually. I wouldn't, like you said, don't force it. It will just naturally come. It's really the best thing you could have said. That was perfect. Thanks. You did that last time, didn't you? Do that last time when I asked what was the question about legacy, and it was like cement. I was like,
see, think about it, Emma. Because Kurt struggles with it and he's at that frequency, he has Ianu in his life. And then all of a sudden he starts attracting these people that can just coherently speak for him. And that's exactly what he didn't force it.
He's like, translate, not on this frequency. How do I
he
describe
just
it?
attracted them, and there you go. It was natural.
it's their conversation, not mine, right? Don't force my beliefs. Share a perspective with them. Stop looking for pain and start listening to their problems. Everything they say is the truth. Everything I say is a motherfucking lie. Quoted by the most famous and I can't think of a word, the most powerful Sean Ray. That stuck with me ever since he said it, and that was about 2.5 years ago. That's the only thing that sticks with me that Sean Ray said. That's mad. Bear in mind, somebody has my fucking money. I just got to find out who. If you sell high ticket, present yourself in a way of being high ticket. How you look matters. Dress like you mean fucking business. Speak like you give a fuck. Don't expect someone to make a decision you wouldn't. Who you are outside of sales is a reflection of who you are inside of sales. Go change your fucking life, you idiot.